officially there was a coffee break. I know all of you have already had coffee. So this is how we entrap everyone for the flash talks. But anyway, don't worry. The flash talks are 5 minutes each. I'd request you all not to get up in the middle of flash talks. It distracts people here. But do ensure that you all have your cups of coffee. You can go get your coffee and come back too. Remember, all the flash talk speakers, please come on this side. We have an order prepared. Everything is in order. Anubhav, Samir, yeah. You need your laptop. You want to get started already. So while we are setting up the first one, let me give you all an idea about what a flash talk is. How many in the audience have given a flash talk before? Okay, so not many. A flash talk is an opportunity as a conference that we want to instill confidence in people to come up here on stage and talk. Okay, now it is not easy to come on stage and talk. I know I make it look easy. All right, I'm joking. But it's a tough job. Okay, so all our 12 flash talk speakers will have a 5-minute duration to be in the limelight here to give a talk about a topic that they are passionate about. Could be technical, could be non-technical. We do not have a selection process. That's why we had a whiteboard there where you can put it in and we put your topic there and we help you get your 5 minutes in the limelight. Remember, these talks are also recorded. So you can use these snippets of 5 minutes talk to present or showcase your strength or ability to talk on stage at different conferences when you apply for another CFP or give a talk somewhere else. Okay? So I do encourage a lot of you all to actually support our speakers by clapping loudly after they finish their talk. Okay? Are we ready, Samir? Yep. You're good? All right, let's have the screen here. So we are now going to import Samir to talk about import maps.
Do we have a podium mic? We request about a podium mic. It's not connecting.
Yeah. Hold on, you need to get wired up, don't you? So this is typically what happens with the conference. All right. Smriti, you ready? Yep. That's how we do it. All right. So she didn't want to talk first. All right. Lady first. Apparently this is the only lady on stage here. So while Samir, you get wired up, let's have a loud round of applause for Smriti.
Okay. Hello everyone. So the topic is when URL had tech name. Okay. So myself Smriti, I'm working at Joe Software as technical lead from last 3 years. So coming back to the topic, so production works are not everybody's friend, especially when it's Monday morning, it's 8 a.m. here and we are working in Australia time zone and we get a request that the URL is not working. So what's next? Let's check the URL. So so in the URL is RESTful URL. It's a e-commerce product. So it's a product/product ID and unique identifier, and say your product has a color code. URL is not working for this particular product. When we check on production, it's working for all other products. So what's wrong with the URL? Next step is let's check whether there is any Unicode character. We check there is no Unicode characters present, no special characters present. What's next? Is it reaching the controller? No, it's not reaching the controller. What's next? Luckily, we have the same data on local. It's working on locally, absolutely fine. Then what's next? So let's check the URL again. Is it reaching Nginx? Yes, it's reaching Nginx. Let's check the access log. We check the access log. We got the error like 422. Okay, there is some error from the Nginx. Let's debug it further. Then we found out that something is wrong with the URL and the code. What's next? Let's remove character by character and find out what's that name that is creating the problem. So when we dig in deep, we found that there is a code ASP present in the color code. So it's a product, it has a color code, and the color code was PSP. So early morning, we couldn't wonder that PSP will create a problem on production and the URL will not work. So now why the URL is not working on a Rails application, what we have done with that? Let's check the Nginx config. There we figure out we have a location block there. Most of you must have aware of location block. Match whatever is after the domain, just check in the location block. So there was the block that .aspx. So this was creating the problem that we have a location block and we have written 403 return if it matches .aspx. So it was considering that if it has a substring ASPX, the URL is not going to work on our application. So it was no wonder, what's the fix? Let's fix this. So it should, the URL ending with .aspx has to be blocked, not the URL containing ASPX. So bugs are something good. Sometimes it's good. It's give you new learning. So debugging, debugging is something that every developer should know and always enjoy it. Okay, thank you.
You knew the order in which you're going to speak that much technical flow. That's fantastic. So she had already told me that she's not going to cross the 5-minute barrier, so I was like, all right. But for the others, once we reach 1 minute,
Mirror.
all right? And what happens if you breach the 1 minute? I show you my strength.
Come on. Hey guys, my name is Samir, and I'm from Tldr Labs, which is a division of Sedin. And today I'm going to talk about something very interesting. Rails 7 came with a lot of noise, and there was one particular thing which was caught in it, which was called import maps. Import maps, well, coincidentally, it is not Ruby, it's not Rails, it's not even related to Ruby in any terms, and still it made to Rails 7. Import maps came very, very long back, I think around 2015 or so, but there was no limelight, and Rails 7 brought something to it. Let me ask you a very small question. I have a code file here, maybe a more familiar code file. This thing, a simple React application. So I had a senior, he was an interesting folk, and he told me one very good thing about this. Hey, Samir, call yourself a front-end developer when you can write a React application without using that CLI, that he just create React app or Vite or anything. Take a file and write a React application out of it. So let's take this as a challenge to do that.
Okay. Here only.
So as you can see, there is nothing in this folder where I'm running. So just imagine writing a React application without using Node.js, without using Node modules, without using any package JSON or nothing of that sort. Just a simple HTML file, a simple JavaScript file, and you have a React application in front of you.
We'll do.
So as you can see here, I have created a React application, and then here we have we have this cute little import map there. That's a script tag, just a simple script tag which can bring in import maps to the HTML, and it looks something like this. Whichever library that you want, can I get it side?
No.
Hey, your laptop hangs a bit. So anyhow, I wanted React, so I just mentioned it. Hey, I need React. React is available at this website. Go there and grab React and bring in my application. And once it is there, I can use, I don't know again, it is hanging for some reason. But you have seen already in that previous one here, we can use it as if it was a node module. Simply import React from React, and you're good to go. No need to do npm install React, or you have to set up a package JSON, or anything that much. So just you told your HTML, hey, this is the place where React will be found. Go there, bring React, patch to the application, and you're ready to use it in ESM fashion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible. You have used many script tags, I'm pretty sure, in HTML. But this one is quite different because you have put a script tag, and now you're using it in any of your files. Like I have added React here. I have added another wonderful framework called lit elements here. And I can actually show you how it looks. So see, this is the website which is running on React, on lit, without using any single node module, npm package, nothing at all. It's totally reactive. It works like React. See, I can change all that. So all features of React, but without using npm. And that is the concept which is being popularized using Rails 7. Rails 7 is the first major framework which adopted this whole import map concept. And now you are free with any kind of this node module system, and you can work happily in the Rails. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. People are actually catering to time really well. So while we are setting up the next laptop, quick note, I know I didn't see anybody get up to go and get some coffees. So just letting you all know, if you all really do want the coffee, there's a running counter right in that corner there. Let me see who wants to go for coffee. All right. I'm joking, but please help yourself with some coffee. Our next speaker, we are going to yield to Anubhav to speak about yielding to the power of blocks.
Hello, I'm audible? Okay. So I am Anubhav and I work as a product engineer at Shuru. And I go by this Twitter handle, Anubhav. About my talk, I'll be discussing like yielding to the blocks of, yielding to the power of blocks, right? So how many of us have used Ruby? Of course, all of us, right? And how many of us use blocks? But that was a problem, right? We as a Ruby developer know blocks, but not everyone, right? So the problem is like I was tasked to onboard an engineer and they had a background in Python. They didn't knew like basically what is a block. And that came into picture when we were like writing our first test together. We do pair programming at work, right? So they asked me like, what is this construct called describe? We use RSpec. So how many of us know describe block, like used it? Raise of hands, right? So like they was asking like, what is this context thing, right? What is describe? Are they some Ruby thing or like what is it, right? Like that took me some time to answer. I didn't knew the answer. But I did some research. So this talk, I'll show you what is this context and how it works, right? This is the basic construct. We have a describe block and then context and the example itself. When we run it, it works. It would run the code that is inside the it block. That's the basics. I'll just try to run it and see if it is Ruby or not. We know the answer, it's not, but let's see. It says undefined method describe, right? So basically, Ruby interpreter is interpreting this describe thing as a method. So there I got my first hint that describe in RSpec is nothing but a method. So I did write a small thing to say like, okay, it's a method. I'll write a method called describe and try running it. So I'll like this is like a longer talk, but I have a limited time. So I've written all through what I went through, and this is what is the final code that would run. What it basically would do is print certain put statements in the terminal. Let me run it. That is test runner. So it's a basic test runner that I ran to replicate the functionality of RSpec. And it has printed these put statements. And where did they came from? They came from here. Basically, the code inside these blocks were running. And the implementation is in these classes, right? But the main power is in these yield statements that in the line 2, 6, and 10 I have written. Whatever they receive in the blocks or they do end thing, right? They basically run it. And that's how these blocks in Ruby work. There's a lot to it. Like I can replicate complete RSpec, but there are a lot of features like you can put in the line number that has to run, how this works, and details around like how the database connections work and everything. We have a limited time, but this talk I would be using to just start research on how RSpec works and maybe get selected next time.
All right, thank you, Anubhav. So our next talk, the real Prem Kumar is going to talk about head fake.
Cool, thank you. And this is going to be very highly technical, which is between Ruby and JavaScript. Okay, now that I have your attention. So this concept can be applied elsewhere, which myself and few of my friends were discussing about it, which is called head fake, where you'll understand through this concept of what we are trying to do. What head fake is, I mean, most of us would have seen it. What we learn, we do indirectly. That's what called head fake is. And you should be quite familiar with this picture from this movie Karate Kid, where this kid is being taught about jacket on and jacket off for, let's say, a few months. And after that, when he gets frustrated, then the coach comes and teaches him about what the jacket on, jacket off is, which is like the concentration, the focus, the discipline that he brings us. So that is what we were also trying to do. And head fake is a similar concept to that. So we might have been part of sports team where, I mean, we play sports and then we do have kids who we send them for sport classes. But what we do is, time? Okay. What we do is like we concentrate on what we need to do with, let's say if it's a cricket, right, we encourage them to be a good cricketer. But the most important thing for us is to let them know that the teamwork, the sportsmanship, and embracing failures. And I would advise actually for us to keep an eye out for them because they are everywhere actually. Head fake is something that we wouldn't be sure of what is happening around us, but we learn actually. Recently, I came up with a term called aphanophosis, which would come up very eventually into the dictionary by the semantics group, an opposite of insidious, where everything happens to a greater cause, good cause, one bit by bit. And so, what is head fake? Now that you have thought about it, it is like being curious about learning of what we are learning, knowing of what we are not knowing, and then understanding those things and connecting those things. And it is up to us to put those energy, and energy definitely has intelligence, and I believe in karma, and karma will definitely take care of it. And I read a beautiful quote by some saint which said, keep at it and keep doing it, banat, banjai, which is like slowly, slowly, slowly you will get there if you keep practicing all these things. And the most important thing is, this is the second head fake. This talk was not for you. It was for me to experiment with a lightning talk at this stage. Thank you.
Head fake. I like the title. Who knows the great Indian head shake? Did you like the talk? Alrighty. So, our next speaker, Magesh, we are going to fish him out from his deep work. Magesh, you ready? Go for it.
Hello. Hey guys, this is Magesh from Rails Factory. So my topic is deep work for developers. So this talk is inspired by the book called Deep Work by Carl Newport. If you haven't read it, please read it. So what is deep work, right? So there is this discussion about deep versus shallow, right? So as a developer, what we do, like when we come across a problem, the first thing that we do is Google, right? And then look at Stack Overflow, copy the code, just run it blindly, right? And then do you really take the time to understand what is the code actually doing? Or if the code has a module or something, do you really go back and look into the module to see what are the other things that the module does, right? So that's deep work, right? So what we are doing by copying from Stack Overflow blindly is shallow work, right? So today, what we do, there's this thing called as Tldr, right? Too long, did not read, right? We do that very often, right? That's a very bad thing, okay? We have to read the longer text, right? Read the long text, because most of the best hackers that I've ever seen are all people who read the long text, who read like really big books and all that, right? Don't be in the rush, don't always think that, oh, I don't have time. It's an illusion. There is always time. You can make time for it, right? So in this age of short videos, where we have Reels, TikTok and everything, people don't have time, right? We just think that, hey, no, I have to get this thing done faster, right? That's not what it is. We have to get over it, right? Not just get trapped into these things that causes distraction, right? So your attention span actually reduces because of doing this. You watch a video, you jump context to WhatsApp, from there you go to Facebook, and you do a lot of things in very limited time, right? So that is actually disturbing your attention, right? So your mind is getting used to that, which means your attention is getting disrupted there, right? So if I ask you to focus on something for a long time, you won't be able to do that, right? So for deep work, what happens is, first time when you look at a problem and then you want to solve it, you have to think about it, right? You have to think about it, and then it takes half an hour to figure out everything, and then that's when the best thing happens, right? When you come across a solution and you're going to write it, that's when you have these distractions. You get calls, or you get a ping on Messenger, Insta, and whatnot, right? Hey, my girlfriend has sent me a text, I need to see it right now. How difficult that can be, right? So now the challenge is, in this fast world, where you have 15-second videos and all that, can you be attentive for 3 to 4 hours straight, right? Can you write code for straight 3 to 5 hours, right? Can you stay without your phone? Can you stay without the Wi-Fi, right? So that is when the real deep work happens, right? So is it possible? Just ask yourself, can you work for code straight for 3 hours without getting distracted by Instagram, TikTok, Messenger, WhatsApp, and whatnot? Can you do that? Just take this as a challenge, okay? Try it. And during the weekends, maybe, try half a day. Can you just stay away from the phone for half a day? Or can you stay away from the phone for the entire weekend? Is it possible, right? So you need to practice for improving your attention. All these apps that you're using today is actually reducing your attention span, which is one of the best skills that humans have, right? So let's not go for all this shallow stuff, right? Let's look at things, let's try to understand things in depth, okay? Just don't go for shortcuts, don't search for solution. Try to understand the problem first, take the time to understand the problem, and from that arises the solution, right? You don't even have to look for solution, right? So don't be shallow developer, let's do deep work. Thank you. I'm Magesh.
Our next speaker is Shubham. I like that topic. How SaaS can cover more ground. If you're going to run the 5K tomorrow, I want to see how much ground you cover.
Hello everyone. My name is Shubham Katte, and I'm working at Kailash as product engineer. And I have total 1 year of experience in ROI development. So today I'm going to talk about how SaaS platforms can cover more grounds in terms of acquiring more clients and making their applications more scalable. So first of all, let's take an example of Kailash, where we built CRM. So CRM caters to various businesses, and businesses comes from various domains. And each domain has their own customizations and requirements to fulfill. So to acquire more clients, we need to basically cater them. So we have two very basic ways to do this. So we can make changes in our core application and customize according to them. Or there is another very interesting way that we opted for. So let's say, let's take an example like what problems we face if we make changes in our core application for like customizations of one client. So, so basically the application becomes very difficult to scale as we write code for a very specific client and it might not be used by anyone else. So also it becomes very difficult to maintain because our developers have to make changes in future and maintain that code along with the core application. Due to like making per client changes, the application becomes more bulky and that increases the deployment lifecycle. So at Kailash, what we do is we have the concept called marketplace application. So you might have all known as Shopify. So in Shopify, basically there is concept of marketplace where the external developer can make their applications and host it there. Similar to that, we have this concept. So let's take an example. You can see that send email button that is on the top right corner of the application. That is that button occurs to those clients only. Those have installed that particular marketplace application. So this client needs to send the bulk emails, which is not the part of this core application. So what happens is, if we click on that, an iframe gets open, and this iframe is very totally customizable. How long, height, width, and what data it has to be shown is totally customizable, and that can be decided by the client. So by giving this feature, what we do is provide the clients customizations, and the client does not have to depend on us to develop their application and scale them. So to achieve this, we provide the data exchange methods, like we provide the REST APIs to our clients, and for that we have concept of authorized API keys. That is, the API keys are like have particular scope. If we generate the API key, that API key is specific for deleting any entity or updating any entity likewise. There is a smart use of webhooks. So we have webhooks on a particular entity. If the entity is created, the webhooks are getting fired. So what are advantages of this is like the UI and the whole application becomes more customizable yet robust, because the interference of another application is not there. Any customizations are not built within the core application. There is always the freedom of technology stack that client needs to choose, and they can choose their own developers to maintain and develop their further applications. There is basically no interference in core application, as we said, and we can also monetize the marketplace applications that are hosted. So basically this helps the core team to focus on building the roadmap, feature roadmaps. So that's all about it. Thank you.
You all are being an amazing audience. Our next speaker is Shyam, and he's all set to start our engines.
Yeah, so let me start by asking one question. So please correct me if I'm wrong. Device is an gem. Is it correct or not? As per the documentation, device is not a gem. It is an Rails engine. So we'll look into the differences and what is engine also. So before that, my name is Shyam. So I have total 1 year of experience working in Ruby on Rails. So first, what is Rails? What is engine? Sorry. So engine is used to provide the extra functionality to our application. Here, application means the application you are currently building. So generally we use device. So device is used to provide you the OAuth and like other application like authentication. So we will. So differences. So before look into differences, we will show when to use gem and when to use engine. So let's say you are what we have in Kailash. So we have different marketplace applications, and for each marketplace application we need some login and sign up functionality, and also OAuth and API key support like that. We have multiple services like that. So these services gets repeated in every marketplace app. So at each marketplace app, developers' time get wasted to building that sign in, sign up and OAuth application. So what we have did, so we have created one engine in which all the functionalities like OAuth, etc. And also we have used another engine, that is device. So if you are using Kailash engine, which is the Rails engine that we have built it, so you are indirectly using two engines. First one is the Kailash engine and second one is the device. So when to use gem and when to use engine. So if you want the core functionality of the Ruby language, then you can go with the gem, like where you will not get any Ruby on Rails functionalities that framework provides. And second one is the engine. So when you want to use functionalities from the Ruby on Rails, so you can definitely go with the engine. So we can create the engine only with one command. So using this command, so you can create an engine. So here you will see one option, mountable. So there are other options also, that is all. So if you want to mount the engine into your application, then you can go with the mountable option, and another one is the all. So if you want to just use the as an independent gem, so you can go with the full options. So basically the functionality is very much similar, just in the mountable you will get all the controllers, models, and other services like services we have other library functions also. So you will get by using namespace. So that will not affect to the main application class names. Like suppose in engine we have used one user class, and also in application we are using user class. So if you namespace your controllers in engine, so you will not get conflicts during your development. Yeah, so if you see on the screen, the directory structure is very much similar compared to Ruby on Rails application. So you will look very similar directory structure. So as I explained, there is all the controllers as already namespace by the mountable option. So it is good practice to use the namespace for your engine. Yeah, so in the way you are using gem in your gem file, the similar way you can hook your engine to your Rails application by using just this one command. If you have hosted it on Ruby gems, so you can directly use this command. If not, you can provide the Git option also, and also the local path. So the very famous example is the first one is the device, and second one that we have built is Kailash engine. So on the screen you will see 4 screenshots. The first one using that, as we have see, the device also gives us the views. So similarly, Kailash engine also gives you the default views. You can easily override that. But if you want to use a device routes, so you can, in the first screenshot you will see that you can mount all your routes from the Rails engine application to from the Rails engine to your end application. Second screenshot, that is the right upper corner. Let's say you have used some JavaScript functionalities and all the files, so you can link in the main application using that way. Third one is the configuration option. Let's say your engine needs some configuration options like the client ID, client secret, which is generally used for the OAuth. So you can go provide that option in application.rb or any development specific file. Fourth one is if you want to override any models, controllers, then you can go with the fourth option. That is, you can override the classes and models also. Thank you.
That was close. Okay. I don't think I would have been able to lift you up, man. I'm pretty sure. Our next speaker is Ayush, and we are literally getting him back from the dead. Ayush, are you back? Right.
Hello. Hey everyone, my name is Ayush. I'm currently working with Progress Chef, and this is my topic, rising from the dead. Yeah, it truly is a daunting statement, and now we'll understand why. How is it in context of coding? So it says rising from the dead, and we are talking about the dead code. So you might have worked with legacy applications, and when the application gets old, there is some dead code that remains. So we build functionalities, then we build even more functionality, and we forget to remove the older code that's not even used anymore. So that's dead code, and now I'll be talking about what is dead code and how we can get rid of it. First slide says what is dead code. So anything which we don't utilize, anything that does not get executed, any return statement which is there after the else statements, everything that is dead code, and we have to get rid of it. Why do I need to get rid of the dead code? Because it is bad. It is not giving you any positives, but the negatives are, it's causing you time, because every time your developer or any other developer is just going through that file, he has to get through the dead code as well. And then every time you are, for example, you are upgrading the application, for example, you are upgrading your Rails, you have to take care of all the dead code as well. So that's why it is bad. Okay, tell me now, how do I identify the dead code? If I have to remove it, first I have to know what is the dead code. So for that, we already have some gems present. So for example, there are some static analysis tools. These tools are like debride and unused. So I found them on GitHub. What they do is, they are like brakemen. They go go through each file of your code, and then they check which method is not called. So these are not, the precision is not very good with these dead code loggers, although these are good static tools, and there are some other dynamic analysis tools as well, cover, bend, and scythe. So to get started with that, we go through these tools, we utilize them, and in the output, we get a list of methods. In different files, we get the list of methods. Okay, line number 42 of product.rb is dead. So that's how we get the different methods. And okay, so now we have the methods. Are we good to remove them just like that? So do we trust these tools enough that we can go and remove the methods? I don't think so. We will not get the approval for that. So for that, what can we do? We need to dig deeper. We need to go through each of these files. We need to understand why this method was added, when was this added, and when, since when it is not getting used. And how do we do that? Like, how do we find about that? So I found this git x. For example, if you just file this command on your terminal, git log -s, and then you can pass a string, and you can pass the regex as well, and then full history. So it will tell you about that string. So for example, this foo is the word. It will tell you in which commit it got added, when it was amended, and when it was removed. So once we know the commit history, that's when we'll be comfortable. Okay, now we know about this method. Now we know this method. And now when we know this method, are we good to remove the dead code? So maybe we'll get the approval to remove it. But okay, if we don't get it, what do? We need to beat the paranoia of our managers or our team leads. We need to tell them that we are 100% sure. We are good to remove it. I was not getting approval at that time, so I wrote this module. So what this guy does, it's a normal module that I've written. It accepts two parameters. One is string, PR link, and second is a block. So my dear friend Abhinav just took a session and explained about what blocks are in Ruby. So basically, we just have to pass in a block to this dead code logger, and it will log it. When do we utilize it? So for example, we found some methods list with the dynamic tools that I just mentioned. With those methods, we'll go and we'll, for example, see this. So this is a dead method. Okay, sure. So this is a method. It's proposed by the tool that it's a dead method. We'll just do dead code logger.log, and we'll just pass everything that was there in the method to that block, and it will log it. See, our code is dead, because once we do that, we'll check there is no entry in the production logs, that there is no proposed dead code log entry in the production log, and once we don't get that for next 6 months, we should be able to remove it. So that's it, our dead code is removed. These are the references that I've used to prepare for this session. And this is me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you all on LinkedIn, because I love to connect with like-minded people. Thank you.
Our next speaker, hi Akshay, I have to level up with you. Let's level up together. Because he's going to talk about level up log.
Hello folks, I'm Akshay Birazdar. I'm senior software engineer at Macquarie. So today I will be talking about one problem. A problem that Smriti mentioned. A problem that Smriti mentioned. Okay. Oh man. A dang bug that only happens in production, right? So how to debug it? Oh man. How to debug it? As a good Rails developer, what I will do, I will log everything, right? So let's do that. Let's log at the appropriate level. Let's add the debug log. What should happen? What shouldn't be happening, right? We added this log. Seems okay, right? Let's deploy it. Oh, wait. Our production works in an info level. So debug log will not be working, right? So what can we do here? We can redeploy with the log level as debug, but that will create too much noisy logs, right? We don't want to do it. Does anyone have solution? Wait a second, Rails has a solution. So Rails has a log at macro or class level method that you can add in the controller level that will help you to change the log level at runtime. So if you see the method definition, it is really simple. We pass on the log level and an if block. And if block, if that gets executed as true, we will change the log level for that request. Okay, problem solved, right? Really? Really? But again, it will create too much noisy log whenever that feature flag is on, right? So is there any solution, right? Or is there a solution for these caveats, right? Because if we introduce a feature flag that will carry an overhead for each of the request processing, it will create too much noisy log, and we have to turn off it again, right? Fear not, my friends. Oh man. I'm really sorry. So fear not, my friends, we have another solution from Rails, and that is Rail logat, right? So what happens in logat? Please, go back. More. Oh, such a fantastic talk, right? Yeah. Okay, so logger.logat, next please. So logger.logat, what does it do, right? So what it will do is, if you pass a code block inside that logger at, right, it will change the log level for only that code block. So, really good talk. Please, next please, man. Okay, I will talk basically. So logger.logat, what it will do, when we pass that code inside that block, it will change the log level of that block only, right? So with this, we will only enable debug log for certain block, and we will not get the problem of noisy logs. So that's about it. But this solved problem for Rails because it was implemented at Rails.logger. But what about Sidekick? Sidekick also has an option of doing the set log at. We can set the log at the job level. So that problem solved. But we want more generic problem, more generic solution, right? So any logger that implements logat method, the problem will be solved for that. So it is a problem that is solved by Ruby for us. So let's use this and make our debugging really easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshay. Our next speaker, Pratham. So he told me explicitly that my slides have no title. So he's going to talk about Josh software.
Hello everyone. So I'm currently working with Josh, and I'm currently into the learning phase. I'm currently learning Ruby on Rails, and I hope that everyone over here can understand me that learning new things make many errors, and I want to hear some cheers about from the people who have faced multiple errors in their learning phase. I want to ask a question, a very simple question. Why do we get errors? Anyone? Okay, so basically we get errors because we run some test cases. Okay, if we don't run test cases, we won't get any errors in our software. Our software is perfectly fine, but our software should run correctly on every test cases, right? So this is what Josh is working on. We are working on an automated API testing tool, which can be used from all the users, from all the people who are into the developing cycle, whether it be a manager, whether it be a designer, or anyone. So these are some of the features of the application. We are working on grouping of test cases. Group of test cases, we are calling it as a test suite. With a single click, you can run all the test cases into all the test cases on any endpoint or on any header or any other environment. We also keep record of test cases, whether a test case passed, whether a test case failed. If the test case is failing, why is it so? The application also includes team collaboration. Team collaboration means that if a particular developer has run some test suite, the manager and the designing team can also see the reports and can give suggestion or can add some test cases. let's just consider that you have to run multiple test cases on some scheduling time. So that feature is also included into the application, which is scheduling test cases. Like if we have to run some particular test case on every 2 minutes, so after some time, you will understand that that is a bot. Next. So I have successfully created enough suspense for you guys to know what the software is. It is called as Facet. Facet is not just a random word, it has its own full form, as you can see. Fully automated and configurable end-to-end testing tool. It includes everything, every feature which I talked in the previous slide. Whether it be managing of history, whether it be running of test suits, whether it be scheduling the test suits, and the team collaboration part. Here you can see a screenshot of the application where I have shown a group of test cases down the right-hand corner, and it is called as test suits. On the left-hand side, you can also change the environment, headers, endpoints, and payloads. Next. This is the screenshot of a scheduling page where you can schedule all your where you can schedule the hit of the test suite or test case. Next. This is also a screenshot of the report of every test case which has been run. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. And you can also connect with me to know more about application. And I want to see the Josh of all the people over here. How's the Josh? Thank you.
I will connect with you. I want to learn more about that product, sure. All right. Our next nomad is Gaurav, who's going to talk about Monadz. He needs the browser, so I'll get that sorted out. In the meantime, Manish. All right. Manish is here, who's going to talk about different Ruby interpreters.
My topic is like different Ruby interpreters. So we all know that Ruby is a dynamically typed language. So what it obviously everybody knows that code turns the language, the Ruby language, into machine readable language. So what about it? So lately I was like really disturbed with the different like C Ruby, J Ruby. Since I'm new to Ruby, so I didn't know what these were. So I'll discuss just few of them. So like we have C Ruby, J Ruby, Rubinus, and then we have Iron Ruby, that is for .NET, MPEL for JavaScript. So I'll just discuss like C Ruby, previously also known as MRI. So it's written in C language. So and it was written by Yukihiro Matsumoto, who is the owner. I mean, who have written Ruby. So so what about it? Yeah. As of Ruby 2.6, version 2.6, we are using Yarv, which is yet another Yarv. So this is a kind of stack-based interpreter. So we have JRuby. So normally we use C Ruby. So JRuby is like we use for high performance stuff, like long running web servers and multi-threadings, concurrency, whatever. So and Rubinus. So what about Rubinus? Rubinus is like totally written in Ruby and like little parts written in C++. So that's all about it. Thank you.
So we have, the Flash Talk seems to be a success because I had 3 or 4 people coming to me telling me, can you please get me some slot? So I'm trying my level best to make ends meet. Love here is going to talk about ROR East India. Couple of minutes. Let me rephrase that, couple of minutes.
Thank you, Gautam. What you don't know is once you give me the mic, I'll be too hard to lift. I'm saying once I have the mic, I'll be too hard to lift for you. Okay. So, guys, this is Love Mehta. I have Rajashi with me. We're from Bitcanny Technologies. What we started in Kolkata is ROR East India, where we are asking people to learn Ruby on Rails and also experienced people to come together and participate in meetups and also read our blogs and contribute to our blogs. We've just started that. We've asked people from other companies and other people in East India as well as all over India to be with us and grow the community in ROR East India. It's going to have an online meetup where people can, not just online, I mean a hybrid meetup where people can participate in online webinars, give talks, submit their talks, and then we'll let them talk to each other and basically exchange their ideas. And we'll also mentor people who come over there, read our blogs, and we've got people who are trying to enter the Ruby language. We're going to help them learn Ruby on Rails. So would encourage everyone to please participate. Yeah, and that's about it. I think my 2 minutes are up.
Thank you so much. And our Nomad is finally back. Gaurav, over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me fine? All right. I'm Gaurav. I work as an EM in Postman. I don't use Ruby for a living anymore, but I've worked for it for quite a while. And this talk is actually related to one of the work that I did in Gojek. So talking about, I think we had an excellent talk about exceptions earlier today. So what I have seen over my time is that some people tend to use exceptions as a means of flow control, which is not really ideal. You know that it's not recommended. If you go to other languages than Ruby, it's a very clear practice that you use an exception when you're not expecting something, but you model your flow control with the right tools that your language provides otherwise. So you ask me what is an alternative in Ruby if I don't have an exception, what can I do, which is what I'm here to talk about. Before I go there, maybe I'll maybe present a use case which might seem a little familiar to you. So as Rails developers, we often work across layers of different classes, right? In the normal flow, it's usually a controller which calls a service, which calls a model. Or it could be any number of classes interacting with each other with different methods. Now, the problem with exceptions is that if my model raises an exception, people tend to just rescue it on the controller, right? Which means that all the layers that are between the controller and the model are unaware of something that can break and something that should actually be very valid, your business logic, right? So how do we deal with something like that? So there is a concept called Monadz, which comes from the functional programming world. The traditional definition, or a very famous definition of a monad, is it is a monoid in the category of endofunctors. It's a very famous definition, but doesn't tell you much. How I understand it is it's an abstract data type which wraps the result of an operation rather than telling you what the operation returns. So if I have a method that returns a user or raises an error, user not found, in a monoid world, it would either return a success or a failure. Talking a little bit, just a second. So talking a little bit about the different kinds of monads. So anybody who has written like Java would actually be familiar with something like optional. Optional is actually an implementation of a monad which is called an option monad. So it's also used as nullable or similar terms in different languages like Flutter. So talking about different kinds of monads, you have basically two major kinds. First is an optional which represents either nothing or something. And there is the either monad. Either monad just means left or a right. Now, I don't have enough time to go into in depth about what either works, but talking about result, which might seem more relatable to you, result is a implementation of an either monad where the left side represents a success and the right represents a failure. What this means is if I'm executing a function that returns a monad, it's going to be either of these types, right? And now it doesn't replace what you're trying to do, right? I'm still going to need, if something is successful, I'm going to have to reach into the success and figure out, who's the user or what is the object, what is the value that my function returns. And same case for failure. When you have a failure, you want to know what failed, why it failed, right? Now, why are monads better than exceptions? Because the limitation that I just talked about, where you're going to essentially skip a bunch of layers between your caller and the source where the bad thing happened, can essentially be modeled in monads. Just going to do a quick plug here. I wrote a blog while I was in Gojek about how we rewrote a system using Monadz and some other functional programming techniques. It was earlier modeled as a state machine. Just to show you some code, this is what it looked like. You have current state, you have a transition which returns you the next state, then you process the next state and whatnot. Just a second, sorry. Yeah. This is what the end code looked like, where it was a functional pipeline, and I was just talking about a series of steps. There is no state, there is no transition, and everything either returns a success or a failure. And the steps is an abstraction provided by a library which has used the monad concept and lets you create a pipeline. So as you can see, this is called solid use case. There's another one called dry transaction, and there are actually plenty of libraries in Ruby implementing this pattern where you have a series of steps all returning on monad, and you basically chain them together. I just want to take this time to make you guys curious about this. I know this is a much longer talk, and I probably need slides to better explain this. This is all I had for now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gaurav. So this is our last flash talk. After this flash talk, we are going to have two amazing talks. We always save some of the best for last. How music works in Ruby and excellence in coding, right? If you all want a small break, you all can have a bio break or a coffee break. The coffee's counters are still running. No issues at all. So Kamal, our last flash talk speaker for the day, is speaking on monkey patching. While we are speaking about monkey patching, I have been told to monkey patch this particular slot because we are having technical issues. That explains your entire talk. Thank you very much, Kamal, for attending. So we are mirroring displays here still. Please ensure that you all are back. All those people I can see going for a bio break or a coffee break, come back here because we have two amazing talks. Then we may have the party.
Hey, hi. Sorry for delaying the party. So this is Kamal. I work as a senior software engineer in UB. So this topic is going to be monkey patching. Some of you might have already heard that term, which is common in, which is a common developer term, which is nothing but you extend or modify any code of your dependency library of your application, basically in your local system. And the name monkey patching is apparently derived from gorilla patching, and since it's very intimidating, they changed it to monkey patching, it seems. So yeah, where you do some patching on your production code. So this code, I have it here. So you commonly have this pagination, right, in your index action, which does pagination on your active record collections. There are a lot of gems available for paginating your active record collections. So here I have written a monkey patching on a class called array, which is written in standard Ruby library, because that gem doesn't work on array. So I have an array. So I wanted to do something like this. So I wanted to call a method called page and pass the page number and then the limit, which is going to be how many entries a page can have. So that is the first expression does, and the expected output is 1 to 10 because the array is 1 to 30. And I'm fetching the first page. So you will see this error called undefined page because I don't have a method called page in Ruby array class. So here I'm doing I'm creating a module which is a core extension, some utility function where I'm returning a page and limit method, and I'm prepending this method to the actual array library, array class, which is the Ruby array class. And then I'm calling the same one. Now I'll comment this out. Okay, I didn't print it. you have it. And we'll fetch the second page. Get the second page. So this is the common practice. Like this is how you do a monkey patching in your application. You can extend or modify any of your gem libraries as you want. You can change or modify however you want. We're just leveraging the openness of Ruby. You can open any class and include, prepend, modify, do whatever you want. That's the power of Ruby. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, thanks. And this I don't have any slides, so this is my LinkedIn page. You can connect. So we are also hiring. You can just connect with me and thank you.
Thank you, Kamal Raj. So I've just been informed that for all the speakers for the Flash Talks, our sponsor Kailas has just said that you can come and collect the goodies for all the Flash Talk speakers from the registration desk. So well done for all the speakers of the Flash Talks. Congrats. So we're going to get started in a couple of minutes. My job is to go out and get the crowd back in. So if you have 2 minutes, get refreshed because we have two amazing talks, last two talks of the day coming up. Thank you.